and you know your comps are at 30, then you know you got a home run, you want to jump on it. So the outward appearance of a house tells you a lot about what the inward appearance is about.
And Mark, I think it was really true 15 years ago. If you had a solid outside of the house, and the inside was going to be pretty solid also. But man, you could get fooled nowadays. You gotta. I think you used to buy a lot of houses just by looking at the outside, didn't you, Mark?
I I would do them, and then I'd call my investors up if it was a hot deal. I could actually send the investor there and state my money and move on. But that was a different era, different time. So
yeah, now it's not the same. I mean,
yeah,
sometimes
so,
it's definitely not. The outside might be in good shape, and the inside is just, unless it's in Oak Park, Brian. Sorry.
I'll pass on a little tip there, Todd. Is sometimes you Google the address and then space hot pads. And hot pads, sometimes if it's used to be a rental, sometimes they actually keep the pictures out there even after the rental's closed. A lot of sites don't do that, but hot pads does.
Yep, and you get some inside pictures.
Yeah. Now it's old, but you can see how old it is. You could see when the last lease was.
Right.
we've kind of talked about negotiating with the seller, but
Yep.
yeah, having the right form. So we're going to give you this agreement. This purchase agreement's got everything, the kitchen sink in it, from being a buyer favorable one. The real truth of the matter is the purchase agreement has a whole lot less on it than the numbers he wants, and he's probably not nickel and diming them as much as my purchase agreement does.
Yep. Yeah.
The purchase agreement we're going to give you is a Word document, so you can actually change it to meet your standards. We're going to give you a claim of interest that, and here's where you want to use a claim of interest. Go in and you know that the seller's starting to get weird with you, and you feel like he's working with somebody else, or if you're doing a mass volume like I was doing, I would file the claim, and I would one claim of interest and then add the legal, so all the houses that I had deals with, file that. Claim of interest clouts the title, so nobody's going to go around you.
And if you do I guess it depends on what city it's in. If you do a claim of interest and you're in the Metro Detroit area, there's only a good handful of title companies that we all use. MIT, Detroit Title and Escrow, Speedy Title, and then there's a few other ones that a lot of us wholesalers use. So if you do a claim of interest, you should also go ahead and email that claim of interest and your purchase agreement to all those title companies. Let them know, because it takes longer for that claim of interest to be recorded. And if there's another deal getting done or about to get done, once the title company knows about it, or if I even called them and without even showing it to them and said I put a claim of interest on it, they can't close that deal. They won't close it. First of all, I guess they could, but they won't close it because they don't want it to come back on them later. So that has to get settled beforehand.
What's a claim of interest? I don't understand.
It's a lien on the property. Like if I was going to buy a house from you, Brian, and you signed a purchase agreement, I could go file a claim of interest because it says that in my purchase agreement that kind of clouds that title, so you can't go ahead and go sell it to your neighbor next door because you committed to me. So
gotcha.
It kind of
here's an example. You go to a house, and Todd's got an incredible buy on the house. In fact, he can get it for $1. They're willing to just sign off the house. They might have a mortgage on it, but it's a low mortgage. He knows it's an incredible deal. So he gets a quick claim deed and a warranty deed both signed by him, because there might be taxes owed. You can record the quick claim deed, but you couldn't record the warranty deed. He's going to wholesale this house. So instead of recording the quick claim deed, he records a claim of interest against the property because he doesn't have it sold yet. That stops anybody else from going around him, and it
Gotcha.
doesn't put himself in a liability situation by recording the deed, because the second he records the deed, I'm going to ask where the property is. I'm going to run over there, slip and fall, put some glass on my head, and have a great suit for Sudden Sam to take against him. So you don't want to, so claim of interest avoids all that. That's what I'm really trying to say.
Yeah, and I used to
Stops
just,
everybody from going around you.
I used to just record the quick claim deeds, Mark, and and the reason I stopped doing that is because one of them I recorded, and then I never unrecorded it when I didn't sell it, which I should have.
Yeah.
And I didn't, and then the city kept coming after me for all kinds of stuff, you know,
Yeah.
the house blight tickets and things like that. So I learned my lesson. Just do a claim of interest, and
You can actually issue warrants for your arrest for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I want to add to that too.
By the way.
As we were brought up, you know, it was asked the question about the market changing. So as we start to get into a market where the owners don't have as much equity or any equity, they could have negative equity in a property, and they need to do a short sale, you don't want to record the deed showing that you're the owner. Because if a short sale needs to be done, you just need to record a claim of interest.
Yeah.
So that way you get your payday out of that short sale, and you're still able to negotiate the deal to be, you could be the seller. I mean, you could be the purchaser at a lower price, and or you would be that arm's length transaction away.
Oh, that sounds so familiar.
Yeah. So, but that's one of the things that you want to make sure that you're doing or not doing. We've had people record the quick claim deed, and then you try to do a short sale on the property, and here's the problem. Who's the owner now? Not the person that's in distress.
Yeah.
Not the person that needs the short sale. Not the person who has those issues. So you have to be careful.
So what Maureen and I did was we recorded an entire seminar, about 2 hours, of how to use a purchase agreement and all the nuances of filling one out, how to sit down with somebody while they're at the same table with you. So you're going to get access to all that, because it's hard to do all this stuff in a short period of time. So I'm going to send you the video links.
Hey, Todd, we had a quick question here from Nick. If a seller is very motivated to sell and needs to sell fast, how fast can a deal typically be done? And what if you can't find a buyer once the contract is signed? Want to speak about that for a quick second?
Okay, if the seller is very motivated to sell and needs to sell fast, how fast can a deal be done? Well, it depends. A deal could be done in that day, but I wouldn't suggest it unless you have check title, okay? Because you got to make sure he's the owner and there's no other liens and things like that. So if you have a good relationship with the title company, if I call my title company and I could have them check title, and I could have it back in an hour. Not title, but at least if there's any problems with it, who the owner is and things like that, okay? And then I could go ahead and move forward with a quick claim deed. But if you're gonna close with a warranty deed with title insurance through a title company, depends on the relationship you have with your title company. Usually I could do it in, 3 days. 3-4 days. If I really have to, they'll do that, So, and if you're not the buyer, then you don't want to do it in 3 or 4 days, because you got to go find a buyer. All right. So in your contract, you want to, especially with COVID, you got to let them know things are different. Title companies, everyone's a little bit slower, they're working from home, and so things that took 2-3 weeks are now taking 6-8 weeks, you know. So you try to get as much time as you can, and you let them know you could close as fast as you can, but it's just something that's out of your control. And other lenders are way backed up, appraisals are way backed up, title companies are backed up. So you got to kind of blame a little bit. You got to get as much time as you can. Okay. I typically get 30 to 45 days. And that's really all I need, 30 days, but I hope that answered your question.
The key is to build your exit strategy, right, Todd? Make sure you have that buyer's list. It gets you your exit strategy.
Absolutely. And if not, you got to squat up with somebody that has a buyer's list. Or if you have a buyer's list, squat up that has deals. I'm telling you, there's a lot of nice or good people. You know, some people might not like working with me, but they might like working with Jay Jones that's on here. I know he's doing deals too. So, you know, you got to find out who you like to work with and things like that. And but definitely squatting up. I squat up with people all the time.
Does there need to be an exchange of money there for a PA? Because I had a wholesaler that I
No.
with in Charlotte, and he would use like $500 or something like that.
Maybe in Charlotte it might be. I mean, for Michigan, there's not. You know, some people think there is, or they might put $100 or $10 or $1. Mark, what's that term you always say? What is the?
Well, your consideration on a purchase agreement is your price.
Yeah.
You're buying it at. You don't. It does not require a deposit.
Okay.
And when you take, like, I used to bring newbies along with me, and I was not going to give any deposit, and they would say, "Well, what about the deposit?" And I would just wanted to hit them. So you don't need a deposit to make it legal and binding.
Okay.
And the only people that create the deposit conversation are realtors, you know, real estate agents.
Yep.
So
Friends and
a
family.
lot of stuff off the MLS, you're absolutely going to need to deal with that. So, in fact, I don't believe Todd's purchase agreement has a
Nope.
on it.
It
There's
does.
a line for it, so it's not a conversation.
And I know other people's purchase agreement has the line, and they put 0 on there. I'm like, oh my gosh. I don't even know why you have that line there.
Yeah,
They don't even look at it if you don't have it.
yeah, yeah. It's you know, it would be your conversation that you'd have to have a deposit for sure, but it's not when you're dealing with a motivated seller as a general rule.
Two quick tips. One thing. So if you have money to put a deposit on, all right, if you're competing with other wholesalers, you can talk and you're getting along with the seller. You really want the house. You could let them know, say, why don't you just, I mean, I know you had other people come to your house. Have they made offers? And they said, yes, and this and that. What are their offers? Yeah, that's another way you could say, let me take off my buyer's hat. I'm not a buyer for you, but let me tell you a little bit about this. And then you tell them, and if they have a contract that you didn't sign yet, you want to get it from them and read it to them. You want to let them know about wholesaling, about they're just going to go find another investor. Okay. And you want to say they don't even have an earnest money deposit in here. You look at the inspection date. Sometimes the inspection date is 30 days, you know. And then you let them know. That's when you change and say, look, I'm going to give you an earnest money deposit. My inspection day is only going to be for 14 days or 10 days. And then if it's that great of a deal, no matter what, you'll find a buyer for it, either if you have to close it yourself or go get private money or do something like that. So that's a little tip, you know, you could do to compete against other wholesalers that might be working, you know, that same deal. you kind of throw them under the bus in a nice way.
So how to review a purchase agreement with the seller. There's actually a video that Todd just did with that. So, and then the one that we've got is going to be on there. So I'm not going to try to get into that because of the time we've got. This is the purchase agreement. It's buyer favorable. These are just some of the clauses that's not on a typical purchase agreement, but it looks like a normal purchase agreement. It's only on one page, front and back. Got the clause in there, the property be free and clear of debris, broom clean at the time of closing. Todd's not going to have that in it because he's going to tell them this is all the cost you are. This is an assumption of an existing financing. So
That mine has that in there now because of that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, because here's the deal. When you have somebody that's in foreclosure, I actually have a clause now that says that I can take over their mortgage, and it spells everything out. So I'm agreeing to take it subject to. So the word subject to means that I'm not agreeing to accept and pay the mortgage. It's just saying I'm taking it, but I'm not agreeing to pay it. My clause spells that out. I think the wording for that might be below. Flip one more slide. Let's see if it is, Maureen. If not, I'm gonna, no, I didn't have it in there. I'm not even going into that clause because the video will cover that in great detail. But it's a way to take properties over and not agree to the liability. And then the buyer shall have the right to enter upon the premise during reasonable business hours for the purpose of inspections to test or show the property to potential tenants or purchasers for resale by the buyer. If the premises are vacant, the buyer shall be provided with a set of keys upon the acceptance of this offer. If the seller occupies the property after the closing, they shall pay the buyer rent as detailed by the attached. I don't want them to stay in the property. That's the last thing I want to have happen, but if I had to work that out, I would. What's the next? I'm just picking out key clauses here. There'll be no tax prorations. Taxes in Southeast Michigan are prepaid. So when you put no tax prorations, it means you're taking their prepaid taxes, and it's money you don't have to come up with at the time of closing. So set it for a high escrow. You should probably try to see what, if you're in Detroit, find out what the water bill is. Because they could be $6,000 in some cases or higher. So next clause, I have it set in here where I can add on additional time in the event that I need it. So I'll just read through this real quickly. Of course, you'd have 2020. So the closing shall be held on or before February of 2021 as the property as practical after all necessary documents have been prepared. An additional period of 60 days shall be allowed for the closing to accommodate delays in title work or correction of title defects, which can be readily corrected. Delays in obtaining the required inspection, survey, or repairs. If the terms of the purchase require the participation of a lender, the lender has issued a commitment consistent with the requirement but is unable to participate in the closing on or before the required date. If the buyer requires additional time to review the closing documents, it is so on. In other words, I can add on all kinds of time with this. So I almost always got it signed. Now, if you're presenting this to a realtor, it'll be a different story, and you're not going to be using this. The assignment by the buyer or of the buyer's interest in this agreement shall not prohibit in any way, nor notice required to the seller should said assignment occur. The seller waives the right to review the creditworthiness or the financial information of any assignee of this agreement. The buyer is an investor. In the event of the assignment, the buyer may charge a fee. Spelling stuff out more. The next one. These are just not on a typical purchase agreement. Do we have another slide for the end, or is that it? Okay, this puts some teeth into it. The seller agrees that the property will be sold, will be resold, and the resale to be concluded under the completion or the control of a buyer, broker, investor. The seller will not in any way interfere with conducting the resale or commit any act to hinder in any way or diminish the effectiveness or the success of the resale of the home. Should the seller interfere with the conducting of the resale in any such way, the seller shall be responsible to pay the broker, buyer, investor a fee of $2,000 for the default of this agreement. I don't even know if that's enforceable, but it puts some teeth in it and a little bit of scare. So if you're a brand new investor, we're covering a lot of stuff that you shouldn't be afraid of. You should just be looking to team up, or you should be looking to look for a real estate company like Maupin, where you've got somebody to coach you through stuff. So,
Hey, Mark, I got something real fast. I forgot. I was listening to a podcast and I'm stealing this, okay? If you're leaving a voicemail, some people don't like leaving voice messages. I do. I tell them who I am and things like that, but listen to this voicemail. So if you're calling somebody, you could say, oh, hey, if you got their first name, you could say their first name. And I usually don't say the full address. I just say the street name in case it's not them. Okay, I don't want people to know what address they live at. But anyway, like I would say, hey, Steve, I apologize for calling out of the blue like this. My name's Todd, and I own the property just not too far from your house. My number is 248-497-9195. And I'm really trying to get a hold of you. It's kind of important you get back to me because, and then you hang up the phone. All right. And they'll call you back, I'm telling you. So you kind of leave a cliffhanger there. You just say because, and you just stop talking, and they'll call you back and they'll, say, oh, and then you take it from there. So you're trying, that's the object, is trying to get them to call you. A lot of times they won't even call you back, right? And like, who's this guy? Who's this, whatever. But anyways, it's something new I'm trying. It's working so far.
Yeah, I'd call you back.
Todd, I mean, do you have any tricks to remember? I mean, if you're calling like 100 people and Steve calls you back, hey, this is Steve. I'm just calling you back. How do you keep all that stuff straight?
You know what? If it's a foreclosure and if it's someone I know, that's the number I got, I will program them in my phone. I'll put their first name will be their first and last name, and their last name will be the address, and the company name would be foreclosure or this or that, something like that. Okay, so that's how I do that. But if you called me back and say, oh, hey, Todd, I'm calling you back. I say, oh, hey, sir, how you doing? And then we'll talk for a minute. I said, what's that address again, please? And then I'll get it from you right away. Okay, perfect. And before you know it, I'm already on my iPad or my phone looking it up, or I'll remember it, Or I'll say, I'm not in the office right now. Is it, blah, blah, blah. But it never creates not an issue. It's never an issue, I know how to figure it out. Once I get the address, I'll recall, or I'll say, I'm probably calling you because I was, looking to buy another property in your area here in the next 30 days or something like that. That's what I was, most likely that's what it was. We do, and I just keep talking. We do, we're doing some rentals, some land contracts, a little flipping, and, not sure what about your house, but that's just trying to reach out to you. You might have talked to us before, and just see if there's any, motivation in here in the next, 30 days or 60 days where you're looking to sell. That's it.
Thanks.
Yep. You going, Mark?
No, I'm here.
Okay, no problem. But Yeah. So, I mean, as a new wholesaler, um, it's really getting a website and getting LLC and a business card is all great, but don't do that before you start making phone calls. You got to make the phone calls. I know plenty of wholesalers that done a lot of deals, and still to this day they don't even have an LLC. Okay, so but you should get an LLC, but just don't do all that stuff first. Start getting some deals and some, a business card. You could say, oh my gosh, I just used my last business card. What's your name and number? Or I'll send you a text with all my information, all that good stuff. I mean, I got 100, probably 200 business cards in my desk here, and I can't remember nobody.
Yeah.
If you do get a business card when you're networking, suggestion is just when you write on that card when you met them, how you met them, and maybe what you talked about. Okay.
From time to time, Todd does boiler rooms where he sits there and makes the cold calls and stuff. So when he announces one of those, I highly recommend if you're new to go to that. It'll be a great experience for you.
I want to do
I
that.
don't know.
Sign me up.
The biggest thing, Todd, is as you're always telling people, you got to take action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Consistent action every day.
So you need to figure out how you're going to promote yourself or what you're going to do, if you're going to use a wholesaler to generate your business, or if you're going to become a wholesaler, or if you're going to jump into find, fix, and flip. All those different items we're talking about are all on the YouTube channel for you to watch too. Let's go to the next slide. So, like, how do you find somebody local to train you and earn as you go? So, if I was brand new to real estate in whatever city I'm in or wherever I'm at, I would start going to all the meetups, and when they start having the meetings back where they're in person, I would go to them. I would definitely ask who the guy is that's putting the most deals together, that's a wholesaler. And then I want to meet with them, to hang with them, even if I had to work for them for free to learn this business. Then that'll be way cheaper than you signing up for some mentoring program from somebody out of state that's going to be basically training you the same way we're talking about, where you're doing it online. And
I get a lot of people that ask me questions, or they might, it all depends on what I'm doing at that point in life at that time. Some people, I got a really good guy that wants to make calls for me and things like that. Fit them into my life right now. And, but so don't let that stop you. Someone like me, just go find somebody else. And, and then another time I'm definitely gonna reach back out to that guy. I mean, for me to try to train someone, unless we're doing a deal together, you could watch and I'll definitely be an open book. But I'm not able to train someone, okay, for my business, I need you to do this or that. But for someone to follow me around and or if you're going to work with someone else, just try not to be, don't have them waiting for you or they need to come pick you up or something like that. You be available anytime they are, things, and show up when you're supposed to and stuff like that. Not saying people don't do that for me, but I'm just giving you some tips,
a good way to learn how to do it is figure out how you can generate leads.
Yeah.
And bring your leads to a good wholesaler, and then tell them what you want to get out of it is to work with them, or with them.
And they're going to give you some money, I'm sure.
You can work all that out up front. So
you figure it out up front.
So we're going to give a few final tips, and then what we want to do is open it up for questions. And don't be afraid of it. I guarantee if you got a question, somebody else has got the same question. So final tip is that if I was brand new starting out as an investor, I would go to look for a real estate company that handles foreclosures, REO properties, and that company is Maureen's. You want to click the slide on how to get hold of you, Maureen?
Villa.
Villa. And Maureen's the broker. She does ongoing training. Another thing, by going there, she actually can help supply you if you're new starting out and actually giving you some leads. Actually, anybody that wants to go there and really work, you're going to get business. So,
Yep. I'm an agent here. I'm actually in the office. Marine's in the office. And if you want to be an investor, wholesaler, traditional real estate agent, whatever, all you got to do is come into this office and there's business here, and a lot of people do not take advantage of it.
yeah.
Well, in fact, we're launching our new tech, which is going to be something that is extraordinary to our agents, where they have lead sources being sent right to their phone to them personally. So it's really innovative, and it's new, and we're making it happen. So
Yeah, so I asked her to do a meetup later this month, just talking about the advantages of getting a real estate license, both as an investor and as just a regular retail agent too. So that's one you don't want to miss. And then as an investor, I can't tell you how important it is to be able to comp a property properly, and you got that access to. Or as an investor, if you've got access to the money, the MLS is an incredible place to play. So
Yep.
I think we can open it up to questions. If you